This is known as a snap change. Popularized by David Blaine in his Street Magic TV series, this is one of the most visual and easiest color changes you can perform. Hi, my name is Josep Vidal, and for the last 16 years, I've been learning, creating, and performing magic all around the world. And in this video, I will not only teach you how to efficiently learn and perform this amazing color change, but also provide you tips and different ways to perform the snap change so you will perform it like a professional magician would do. So if this sounds good to you, get your deck of cards, sit down, and let's get into it. Learn the snap change, something we have to understand that what's going on basically is the two cards hold as one are just exchanging one another like this, having always the card in front as a cover so we can conceal the card we exchange it for. So because there's many things we have to talk about, and believe me, this is a lot easier than what you expect. So what I'm going to be doing is breaking down the whole sequence in a detailed step by step so we can go accurately and understand all the moves and all the techniques are involved in such a rapid move. So first we need to understand how we are holding two cards as one and how we prepare it. In Magic, holding two cards as one is mostly known as double lift. This takes a lot of your practice and patience, and there's many ways in which you can do it. But here in this tutorial, I will show you the easiest way to create it so you can be focused on how to introduce and how to present the effect. Something I would recommend you if you're a beginner already is to normalize the fact that you have two cards as one in your hands, because your body will already feel that you're lying to them in a very, let's say, bold way. So you will tell to your spectators unconsciously that there's something going on. So what I'm recommend you is this little exercise. It's very easy. You just get two cards as one in this case and start to naturalize it, having two cards as one by moving it from one hand to the other like this. You can just, watch the TV or talk to a person and just go like this from one hand to another, normalizing the fact that you have two cards as one. Without saying it, you just need to, practice and normalize this feeling of having these two cards together so you can, just go square it, of course, from hand to hand, yeah. So you naturalize it, because something that could happen is that if you are not used to have two cards in one hand as one, you will want to rush super fast to do the change, and that's not what we want to, because we need to introduce the effect, create the initial moment, and then create the contrast that will create this magic effect that we want to. So first step to normalize and don't rush this kind of things is to normalize the fact that you have two cards as one holding in your hand. So now the focus here will be, how do we create this two cards as one? Basically, I would say the easiest double lift you can do is the one I'm about to teach you. And this one will just require you to start from a squared deck position in mechanics grip. And from here, what you're gonna do is with your right hand, as in kind of a Vidal grip position, and pressing down with your index, riffle with your thumb through the deck like this until you get two cards like this. Once you get the two cards, what you're gonna do is to involve your pinky and create now what's known as a pinky break. What this break will allow you is to treat these two cards independently from the rest of the deck, which is ideal for us to get into this snap change position we want to get into. Once you get into this position, when you have two cards as one already on the deck for you to take it, you need to practice it in a way that you can naturally talk and go and riffle through the deck until you feel that there's two cards that you can now break with this pinky break that we described before. So once you're here, what we're going to do once we're ready is to go under the two cards, of course, without looking at it, just, naturally by speaking, go under it. So what you're gonna do is to clip these two cards as one with your middle finger and index and thumb to the bottom corner like this. As we'll see later, this position to hold the card will be the best one to perform the snap change in this, let's say, beginner approach. So once you're here, you're gonna naturally clip it, try to bend it a little bit, kind of against the corner, to make sure that you are not unsquaring the double you just created. So if you kind of like bend it a little bit by the corner, you're making sure that this double you're holding will look tighter and will look better if you are moving it around or just holding it like this. Once we understand how to create the double, how to be comfortable with two cards as one, it will be the moment to understand how the mechanics of the snap works. Basically, the leading or let's say the starter of the snap change will be mainly the middle finger. Because what we're doing with the middle finger, as it will be a snap, is to drag the top card, or like the card that is showing in the beginning, drag it down, and as you can see at the same time with the thumb and the index, maintain and even change the grip from the two cards now to only the card that is behind. And because we will drag it down, you will see that this will become a lot easier till we'll eventually and inevitably just snap and get right in front of it. So now what we're doing at the end of the change is basically holding with the thumb and index the card that was behind, now showing in front, and with the middle finger that started the move, concealing the card that was showing in the beginning behind now the card that is showing in this, let's say, more horizontal orientation, because we have enough cover now to make it perfectly concealed and creating this illusion that the card was showing just vanish or change instantly. And altogether in real time will look something like this. But if this is still hard to you to understand, no worries, here's a slow motion and another angle on what's going on. So once you understand the mechanics of it and you are consistently exchanging one card for the other in a successful and consistent manner, something that I would like to talk about is that what makes this change invisible is not only the speed in which you're performing it. It's also a combination of other factors that could be the strategy or the information you give away before you're doing it. Because, for example, as you can see, the strategy of David Blaine when he does it on his TV series is to create this flicking motion that will just create two moves that are happening super fast. And for our brain, it is very hard to, let's say, break down both, and creates this perfect illusion that the card just changed in front of your eyes. Another strategy that you might see on other magicians could be the one of moving from up down, because there's a ruling magic that says that if you want to hide a move, what you need to create is a bigger one. So in this case, when we create this big move, we're hiding the small one that is the snapping motion. There's many strategies and different ways, but the one I would definitely prefer more than doing this, for example, or than doing the motion like this, would be more into passing my hand over it to hide, or let's say create some halo mystery there. Because if you have like the information right in front of your face, but it's happening super fast, you can still have the magical sensation, but it feels very mechanical. You know, it feels like this is a gimmick card, which is not. And by doing it like this, for example, by passing your hand in front, even though you can still the flick sound, which could still evoke this kind of gimmicky mechanic sensation, the fact that you are hiding this information on what's the moment where the card changed for another, from my point of view, it gives a more magical sensation. And I can tell you, because I tried different ways, and the way that gives me best reactions is this one here. Just having the snap change ready, and once I'm passing the hand, coordinating it in a way that when the hand is in front, I'm just exchanging it and just going like this. Both motions are super fast, but one is leading and also hiding some of the information, so when the contrast is revealed, from my point of view, it creates a higher impact. You can approach it however you want. There's also different ways in which you can do the change. But again, I would recommend you, if you want to create a more magical experience, I would just go from this one. Yeah, so from here, passing the hand over and changing it right at the moment your hand is covering the cards. So now that we understand how to exchange the two cards for another, how to create the snap, and why does the change work, it is important now to cover something that I would say it's the key to make this change successful. Something we have to understand is when it is good and when it's not to perform this type of change. When you're in a situation in a magic show, like for example, I'm having here on a table where I can control where the spectator is looking at, this is ideal because now we can control all the time what people is seeing and what people is not seeing. But when you're in a real situation, like for example, doing street magic, doing magic at a restaurant or something like this, you will see that you have angles everywhere. So something you have to be aware is which are the angles here. Something you will notice is that normally the angle that is suffering more is this one here, because normally people will be standing up when you perform magic or sitting down. You will see that these two angles could be dangerous. The way to make those angles smaller is by, instead of just performing it in front, which is something that for some reason a lot of people do, is to just get it as closer as to your chest as possible. And if you can just make sure that the car is more or less at the eye level, that will be the safest to do. Of course, if you have somebody here in this area here, this is definitely not a person that will see this as a trick, so you have to keep that in mind. So in case you have more or less people in this direction, you will have to adjust and make sure that this people is having the same image as you're having right now in this frame, but moving it over there, yeah? Keeping, of course, in mind that if you go too low, the car will be visible from behind. If you go too high, the car could be visible from the bottom, especially if the people are seated down. So try to get more or less into this position here, like not too high, not too low, more or less eye level, and parallelly to people's eyes. And of course, keeping in mind that this and these angles are the most sensitive of all. I know that this is rare, like to have people in this specific position, but that's in case you want to perform it in real life. In real life, of course, things are less under your control, and that's when a good magician is showing up, because he is aware of all this, and with the practice and the experience is able to have all this into the equation to make sure that the trick works. But if you don't feel ready, just practice and try to always create this situation where you can perform this safely. And if you cannot, you can always perform this in a video like I'm doing right now, so you have full control on what people is seeing, what people is not. And something also you have to keep in mind is whenever you do the snap, is not to go too far with your middle finger, so the car will be held mostly in the base of your thumb. Just try to create the snap in a way that the card conceal will be held in this almost 90-degree position, because this is the safest in which to hold the car into. Because if you go too far, you will see that now probably showing here. But if you just are able to always hit it and hold it in the same way, in this almost 90 angle degree, that will be the best for you to be safe and consistently knowing that nobody's seeing anything. Of course, if somebody sees it, you know, it's part of the thing, it's part of the practice. So just try to learn from it if this happens to you. So main thing, be aware, angles, projection from the car that is covering it mostly. Let's see if I can do it like this. Yeah. I would say anybody that goes out from this imaginary angle you just created, they will probably see it. So just try to keep that in mind, but also having it as closer to your body as possible. Of course, without being awkward or uncomfy. Don't do it like this, because like this is not convenient, but you know, kind of something, let's say, that feels comfortable to you, but does not feel very far, you know? So I would say here is the ideal situation. So whenever you're in this situation, just do it here. So now that we understand the mechanics on how to exchange one card for another, also the strategies on how to make this as magical as possible, and which angles we should keep in mind to make sure that nobody sees the card that we're concealing, it's the moment to talk about the last and also very important part, which is the cleanup. Something that I see a lot of people doing is that when they have the deck of cards in their hand, they do the change, and now with the left hand, they go super fast to recover the card they change it for, and now with some kind of a flourish, they just do the cleanup. This is okay, this could be a good strategy, but something I'll recommend you is to learn other strategies that will not make you dependent on having a deck in your hands. So the one I'll be teaching you here is the one that I think, from my point of view, considering all the possible cleanups you can create and do, this is the straightforward, simple, and is one of the cleanest and will not make you dependent on you having a deck in your hand. And this works as simply as this. You make the change, and now what you're going to do is to get your left hand as a cover, And at the same time, when you're covering it to, let's say, recover the car, that's the, let's say, the justification for us to go and cover. What you're gonna do with the right hand is to try to kind of reverting the snap motion you did, but backwards. This is a bit hard to explain, but basically it's, as I said, it's kind of like trying to revert the move backwards. And you get, from here, you get in kind of this unsquare, almost a square position. And what our left hand is doing basically is to cover it up and finish the square up process we're doing. So now we're holding the two cars together as one again. I know this looks unrealistic and clumsy, but in real speed it will look something like this. You take the car, you do the snap, and now with the left hand covering it up, and now you're getting it back with two cards as one again. So that's the easiest cleanup I can think of. But if it does not convince you, if you are more ambitious and want to do something, let's say, a bit more professional, in the bonus section, I'll be teaching you the way in which I approach the snap change and the way I clean it up so I can finish with basically one car, creating the perfect illusion that the car changed in a magical way. So now that we understood and go through all the steps, let's put everything into a sequence. So we start from a mechanics grip position, create the double without even looking or thinking about it. We can just filling it and already separating from our pinky brake. Go with our index, middle, and thumb by the bottom corner like this, exposing it clearly in front of the audience so they are ready to see what's going on. And now from here, create this snap change like this, of course, covering it up. In this case, I like it like this, covering it up like this, or flicking it like this. And once we're in this position and we can realize that people perceive the change and they got the impact. Now it's time to get this situation to clean up everything, square it back, and if you want, showing it again to reinforce what just happened. And now will be the moment where you can just take the double and take it back to the deck like this, because the effect just ended. So this is all you need to know to learn how to do the snap change in a consistent and successful way. If you have any comments, feedback about this tutorial, please don't forget to use the comment section. And if you'd like to help me with this project, don't forget to give a like and subscribe, as I'll be uploading many tutorials that I'm sure you'll be interested in. And now if you feel ambitious, if you want to get a more professional approach, come with me to the bonus section. So in this bonus section, I'll be showing you the way I like to perform the snap change. That'll look something like this. As you might perceive, this type of approaches are slightly more ambitious. There's many techniques and different things we have to consider regarding the control of the space we have and other things that we'll talk about. But if you are already slightly more advanced than just a casual beginner, or you're already a magician, this definitely will be something relatively easy to do. But we have to keep in mind that there's always a price to pay. As you might notice, and as I already gave some hints, we'll have to have a lot of control of our space to perform this, because the cleanup requires us to use also not only areas that are visible, also areas that are concealed, like for example the lap, as we are unloading the car we change it for into our lap. This in a show will be perfect because we have control of the situation, in a video also, but when we are in a restaurant or creating some random impromptu magic, this will be a lot harder because we cannot have people on this side, or maybe not even on this angle here, because even we are concealing very well, there's certain things that could flash still. So we have to be very aware of this, and that's the price to pay to have a very nice and very clean cleanup at the end. So if you are considering still to go through it, I'll be very happy to show you how it works. And the way it works, it is the same mechanics. The only thing we have to keep in mind is in the end how we unload the car. And as you may saw, I'm doing this type of double lift, which is something I will not be breaking down because it will take me a whole new video that will be very long probably. But the double lift I already taught in the beginning in the tutorial, or your own, will definitely be also a good option for you to go through it. What I want you to get in a sense is the way I'm producing the change and the way I'm doing the cleanup. The beginning is more up to you and up to your ambition or to your style on how you want to do it. But basically, counting that if you don't know how to do double lift, we're gonna do it as in the tutorial. Just create the brake. We're gonna start now getting into the snap change position. And once we're here, the first thing I like to do first is to pass my hand over like this. So we create the change right at the moment where we're covering it up. And once I create the change, I like to pause slightly so people can understand what happened. And once I'm here and I think like people understood what happened, what I'm doing is relax my whole body. And this gives me the perfect excuse to get my left hand down, also my right hand at the same time. And here with some momentum, just unload the car while turning it over like this, so I can change from one hand to another and finish by maybe flicking motion. So we create the perfect contrast and give, without saying it, the information that this is just only one car and that it got magically changed to another one. Something I have to point out here that I didn't notice until I realized when I was practicing in front of a mirror is that even though this change could be very well covered, the fact that I'm going up and down, and because the eyes of the spectator stay fixed, I have to be aware in which the angle I'm unloading the car. Because what I'm changing basically is the angle sensitivity going up and down, so I need to be aware of this. And basically, once I'm going down, is try to slightly turn the wrist, let's say, towards myself, because what I'm doing is, if the eyes are there, it's just preventing the car to flash from this angle here. So if I'm staying static like this, so normally what you would tend to do is sometimes like this, or just maybe still keep it straight but exposing it if the person is too tall. So something I recommend you is from here already, just try to turn your wrist slightly, so when you drop it, you're still covering it even though you change the angle from here to here. And once you drop it here, it's important also to have this left hand as a cover in case you are not sure if you are tossing it at the right time. So the left hand will give you extra cover on this space over here that you can see on the camera, and I can see too. So whenever you drop it, even if it's not perfectly coordinated, you can still have the cover of this area here. Yeah. So this is the way I approach it. I hope you like it. I hope you can practice it, and of course be aware on when and when not to perform this. And I hope you like it. So that was the tutorial. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. And if so, please don't forget to give a thumbs up. This will help me a lot. And if you're liking this type of tutorials, consider subscribing, as I'll be uploading many of them that will go from basic to intermediate to more advanced, so everybody will have a tutorial according to their level. Now, if you want to keep learning with me, I'm letting you hear this super cool tutorial that I'm sure you will enjoy. And again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.